I was always picking up a camera and shooting stuff, and my friends in high school knew that. And so they had me do a video for the football team pep rally, to like hype up the students. And so I made this video of the football team. It was like an Under Armour style commercial, like, we must protect this house. And and it played at the pep rally, and all day long students and teachers were coming up to me just like, that was so good.
Yeah, so this is like your breakthrough.
Yeah, they're like, you need to make videos. Like, that's what you need to do. And I was like, that's what I'm going to do.
Uncommon Creative, the FILMPAC podcast.
Well, you guys, today on the podcast, man, such a pleasure. We get to have filmmaker, entrepreneur, influencer extraordinaire, Jakob Owens. Such a pleasure, dude. And it's been a long time. We've communicated in the past a little bit, like a colleague, if you will, in the industry. And man, I'm just excited to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude.
I'm glad to be here. Yeah, when you hit, I get hit up sometimes for some of this stuff, but when you hit me, I was like, oh yeah, I'm there. Because we've talked and just never got to meet face to face. Honestly, I don't think I even knew what you look like. And and I think I have some footage with you guys on your platform as well. So I was like, yeah, it just made sense. So I'm glad I could be here and glad you guys wanted me here.
Yeah, totally. And I look forward to this conversation and the rest of our day beyond the podcast studio too, because I'm a filmmaker,
right?
Also an entrepreneur and real estate investor, and so we got a lot in common. Right. We got a lot in common. I can tell you're just hard worker, driven dude, and so it's fun to just have conversations with people who you can connect with like that. Right. So I'm super excited. Right. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Where you're at in life right now, and then we'll dive into some questions.
I always have a hard time. Not a hard time, I guess, but an interesting time telling people what I do, because it's I am a filmmaker, but it's I do so many different things, and so and I don't like to feel like I'm oh yeah, I do this and do this and do this. It feels I don't know, boastful and braggadocious, but I guess essentially filmmaker, but I also I have my own production company. I edit, I DP, I own several film and photo studios. I'm invested in real estate. I have a post-production asset company. I have a filter company. I'm
a customer.
I do a lot of different stuff. And influencer content creation for brands and stuff, kind of outside of the bigger production company scope for, music videos for artists and commercials for music. So it's just I just do a lot. A YouTuber. I used to be more of a YouTuber and but I still post YouTube videos. So I'm kind of a YouTuber still. It's how do you just tell someone all that without being dude, you're all over the place, or I don't know. So
yeah, and I'm kind of curious with all that stuff. I know you got a lot going on, but I'm curious, what led you there? When you were younger, maybe what did you want to be?
Right.
What did you want to do? When you were I don't know, high school, college.
I mean, at the core of it all is just being a filmmaker and the love for film and video.
At an early age.
Yeah, from my earliest memories are with my parents' Sony high 8 camera, just running around. Filming, making little, literally just filming everything. Me and my brother would set up Hot Wheels cars, going down a racetrack and film it, and it'd be a Fast and Furious car movie, and down to us filming us dunking outside on our little hoop, and we'd make our own dunk contest, sports center highlight show, and then we'd review the dunks inside of our room we were a Sports Center talk show host, and be that was so we just were, and then made little monster movies with the neighborhood kid. We're just always filming. I was filming everything, and I had made my brother and friends get into it as well, and so from super early on it was just something I was always into. But even beyond that, I think just all of the stuff that I was just talking about that I do literally stemmed from my childhood too, because I was, amongst all that, I was designing and making my own magazine.
How old are we talking here?
I had to have been anywhere from 5 to 10 years old, because when I lived at this house, I was drawing my own shoe line, I was drawing golf courses, designing my own golf course. I made board games that I still have laminated to this day that you can play, they're super elaborate board games, and so it's I just was always making and creating and doing different things, and I think that I always talk about how that just carried over into my adult life, whether that was my creative ADHD or just me always needing to make something. it just carried over. So it's like at the core of it was always film, and that's like the main love and passion. But like as I got older, it's like, cool, I love film, but like, what else can I do? What else can I make? You know, it was never like, this is the only, and I've always been one to like, I think like see opportunity and see things. And I was like, I always saw like, you can't have your eggs in one basket and that's all you do, because if that thing, for whatever reason, if whether you choose to stop one day or it, you know, you just can't, because like for whatever reason, if you're a filmmaker and you lose your eyesight, like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, that's extreme obviously, but like, I've just known and seen people growing up that have all their eggs in one basket, and when that thing stops, it's like, now what? And so like I've always, I think, had the foresight to like just kind of be diverse in my skill set and do a bunch of different stuff. But I also, that's like also what I enjoy doing. It's not like I was forcing that, because I think that's the mistake a lot of people make, is like, oh, I have to do this and I have to do this, and they might not enjoy it or might not like it, and it just makes it hard to be successful in those things, and just longevity wise, like if you don't,
they're chasing the quick buck.
Exactly. So I literally just talked about that on my Instagram. I was like, too many people are just literally chasing the quick buck, and it will not
real.
There's no longevity in that. And it's like, cool, you might make some quick short-term money, but yeah, I think that's like the key behind everything that I do is I do enjoy it. Like what I just spent 2 weeks renovating our LA film studio top to bottom, like just building new sets, renovating it, adding new things. And it's like, I enjoyed doing that, and I looked forward to do it, and I can't wait to do it out at Eclectic and Barracks. And it's like, it's not, I'm doing it just because I'm going to make money doing it. And like, oh, like I like doing it. It's another outlet of creativity, but in a different way. And it's cool getting to watch other filmmakers create in the space that I created. And I find fulfillment in that, you know what I mean? So,
I love that. And honestly, dude, I got chills while you were talking, because I was thinking about what in my childhood led up to me becoming a filmmaker, entrepreneur. And I was thinking like, dude, I also designed a shoe when I was in 8th grade. I designed a shoe because I ran track and field, and I designed like a spike, like a track spike, and then wore it in a race.
That's awesome.
It was like duct taped together.
What else did you do? Like, do you remember anything else that you did?
That I created?
Yeah.
Well, so always an artist. So that's how I got through school, was I was just
drawing.
Like I couldn't.
Me too.
I couldn't listen, but if I was doodling.
So did you want to be like an artist?
I thought, before? and then one of my best friends, he came over one day and showed me his his portfolio of work, and I'm like, okay, you are so far beyond me. Maybe I should choose a different route.
I thought I wanted to be a cartoon artist, because I was really I was a really good drawer. My mom and her mom were great artists, and her great, like, I think on my mom's side of the family, it really runs just within drawing and painting. And so like I grew up drawing, and I was really good. And at one point I remember there was this movie that came out when I was a kid called Titan AE, and it was like this cartoon kind of computer animated kind of movie thing. And I got to sit down with one of the animators, because it was like someone mutual friend of a friend of a whatever, and he showed me how like movies are drawn frame by frame, and I sat with him for a whole day drawing like a dog barking, and then he did it on the papers and sent it to a TV and animated it, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And it's like, eventually I grew out of that, but it
transitioned. I mean, I don't even know if you grew out of it. It just transitioned. I remember drawing. This is so funny. Like I haven't literally thought about this in like 2 decades, but the Post-it notes. I used to run track, like I just said, and I was a long jumper, and I drew. I filled up a whole thick Post-it note thing with someone running,
guy running and
jumping and landing in the sand and getting up. And I kept that for so long, and I would show it to my friends, like, look what I created. And so, yes, I think overall I've always been creating, similar to you. And now when you become an adult and you need to pay bills, it's like, okay, how can I monetize?
Right.
How can I find fulfillment while monetizing some of these like pretty like natural gifts and giftings that I have?
Did you ever growing up do like any sort of like lemonade stand or food stand outside your house? Yeah, same. I remember vividly building a stand with scrap wood with my brother and my one of my best friends, and going out in the corner and like trying to sell candy and lemonade. And so I was just always and my mom super encouraged it too, because she was just like her mom was an artist, so it's just like anything that we wanted to do creatively, she would let us do, but also she was pushing us to like, what arts and crafts project do you want to do today, this or this? And so I think she helped foster that. But it was something that I also just like, I was always wanting to just make something.
And I think it, like, at least for me, it going through all those kind of things, it built confidence. Like, hey, if I want to do something, like, there's a way to do it. Like you can find a way. And some kids and adults are built that way.
Right.
And some are just not. Some are built more of like visionary, and some are built more to be like an operator. And I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm more of the visionary. I don't know that I can actually operate things while I'm still learning.
Right. So I always say that it's like, yeah, me being an entrepreneur started when I was a kid,
Yeah.
like just making, like that's part of being an entrepreneur too, is just like building and creating things, you know, and then like trying to see that thing through. So yeah, just carried on. It's just something that's, I feel like, always kind of been in me. So
I love that. And you know, when people ask me about like how I became a, you know, filmmaker and all this, I talk about, hey, I've always been creative. You know, the film and video, that's a medium.
Yeah.
It's kind of a means to an end. But I am an entrepreneur first. I'm an entrepreneur, I think, before being a filmmaker. And I think that's off-putting to some filmmakers. It's like, whoa, like, you got to be so passionate. Like, I am. I love what I do. Well, but I think about it as a business owner and entrepreneur first.
I personally think sometimes, and maybe that's just my own perception of like what I think people think of me, but I feel like there was times like kind of when I was coming up, and maybe even still now, where I had like filmmakers that didn't look at me as like one of their peers and like, oh, that's just Jake, just
because you're doing other stuff.
Yeah, he's all over the place. He's not like a real filmmaker. Like, and I don't know if that's just my perceptions of what, or like I heard rumblings, but it's just, I always gathered that. And I think I've never really talked about this, but I think I had all of the projects I did involved one of my partners in everything I do now, which is Tom. And he's a very, what you would think is more of a filmmaker. He has the tats and he's very artsy and he comes from the Bay and everything. And a lot of people, like, we did everything together. Every video I directed, he DP'd, right? And so we'd have these similar friends in the circles in the industry, or people who know of all of us or whatever, and they would follow him on social media and engage with all his work, but none of those same people followed me or ever engaged with me. And it was like, everything he's posting is something I've produced and directed. Right. It was like, well, so why aren't, you know, so I think that's where I kind of gathered like, oh, so people don't really look at me as like, or certain people in the industry like might have this perception that, oh, he's not a real filmmaker because he's just like a social guy, like a influencer. He just does all this other stuff.
I try to crush it on both of them.
Yeah.
You know, I try to. That's a hard task, but
yeah. So
I guess for you then the question is like, what came first for you? Filmmaking, entrepreneurship. It sounds like the lemonade stand maybe was the
no, it was definitely the film stuff. I mean, I was picking up the camera before I could even remember, and that was always, even through high school, I was just always filming stuff. And I made the thing that like fully like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, is like, I was always picking up a camera and shooting stuff, and my friends in high school knew that. And so they had me do a video for the football team pep rally, like to like hype up like the students. And so I made this video of the football team. It was like an Under Armour style commercial, like, we must protect this house. And like, and it played at the pep rally, and all day long students and teachers were coming up to me just like, that was so good.
Yeah, so this is like your breakthrough
project. They're like, you need to make videos, like that's what you need to do. And I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. So that was like, I always enjoyed it and I was passionate about it and I did it, but I never like saw it as like, I guess I never saw it as like, oh, that's going to be my career. But that was like a turning point of like, okay, I'm going to go to school for this, and that's what I'm going to try and do for my job. So
it's interesting. You know, I actually came from a family, you know, my dad, my uncles, my grandparents, a lot of entrepreneurs, but no like creative entrepreneurs.
Right.
So in that
There's
way,
a difference. Yeah, a little bit of difference.
And I had to blaze the trail.
Right.
In that way, I had no, like, early on, no mentors, no nothing. I was just like, well, here we go.
Yeah.
I've been reflecting a lot on like 2022. A lot happened for me, at least in 2022. I think a lot happened for you too.
Yeah.
Which we can talk about. So tell me maybe like, what was one of the biggest lessons maybe you learned in 2022?
I think something in 2022 that I did was like overextend a little bit in terms of like, in a couple of the businesses, like try to do too much. Cause like I said, like we were just talking about, like I'm always trying to like create and do the next thing and I think, and it's not like I just have one or two things to focus on to like grow. I have a bunch of different things. And I think I was trying to do too much last year in terms of this and grow this and, oh, let's expand here. And just got in maybe a little over my head on top of like me and my wife were trying to get pregnant, and then she was pregnant. And so, yeah, just 2022 was like a very crazy, hectic year. So like I told myself going into 2023, I would slow down a little bit, which I have, but slowing down for me is also still.
And that's part of like the life of a entrepreneur is like you fail.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the road, there's like the macro win, success, but along the way there's these micro failures. Like every day, every other decision is, I feel like sometimes it's like it's a fail.
Right.
I fail so much, but I'm not afraid of it anymore.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of embrace it. And I think like doing what you do, doing all these different, the PrismLensFX, Tropic Colour, the locations, there's a lot of risk of failing.
Yeah.
And you just got to like power through that. So
even one of the biggest ones was this last year in 2022 opening the Arizona studio, because it's like I could have, with the amount of money, time, and resources it took to open that spot, like I could have done that here and know it would win or crush. And there was like a little bit of like an open, like, is there enough of a market in Arizona for this to work? Like, and like I could have easily just taken all that and just opened another spot here or expanded on our spots here and built them up further. But I was like, no, I really wanted to build a spot for the AZ community because that's like where I came from. But then I'm like, I also like live here now, most of the time. So it's like if I need to pop in and use it for a project, I can. And so that was like a really big like risk, but it was like a risk I was willing to take, and part of the overextending that I talked about. But I don't regret it because it definitely like helps the community. I've used it a bunch. I have plans to use it a bunch, and it's doing all right. So
I gotta fly out to Tempe to use that.
Yeah, you got to come out. Yeah, that's where we record our podcast, and we got to get you. We got to get you on our podcast.
I love it, man.
So got to have you meet the team and Tom.
That'd be super fun. I've seen some of your behind the scenes of that, and it looks like a sick spot. So if you guys are in the Arizona area, Tempe, if you're 100 miles away from Tempe, you got your spot right here. So that's cool, man. Talking about like lessons learned in 2022, when I think about what I learned in 2022, and it's similar to yours, is for me, it was just keep going.
Yeah.
Like, dude, FilmPAC, I've been at that for a long time now. And there's been so many days where I feel like giving up.
Oh, likewise with what we do, you know what I mean?
So many days.
I don't think it's anyone's exempt from that. Like when you're, entrepreneur and pursuing something. Sorry to cut you off. Keep going.
It's all good. That's it. It's like, it's that simple. It's just keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. And like, I think at the end of the road, your hard work and dedication will pay off. But sometimes in the middle of it, man.
Yeah.
It is like stressful, and you're like, am I doing the right thing? I could be applying myself or my resources elsewhere.
Yeah.
But I just say, hey, keep going. I've given up.
That resonates with me a lot, because like we've, me and Tom have been there with the different companies, whether it's Tropic or Prism or a studio. So like, I get that.
I'll tell you what hurts is when you don't keep going and you look back and you like, regret. And you're like, shoot, if I would have just done that for 2 more years, I could have been, where I wanted to be.
Right.
And it's not always just a monetary reward. That's obviously that can be a big factor, but it's also just like a fulfillment, and like that's what I want to do. And
what I try and do too is I look back sometimes on like some of my bigger, like I guess, wins right now, and I'm like, dang, if I would have never done that, like I couldn't imagine not, like for example, the Eclectic West. I took a big risk on buying that spot, opening and building it out, and I look back and I'm like that's one of the things I'm most proud of. Like it's successful. It's like it's a cool place. I get to use it whenever we have cool projects, and I look back and I'm like, dang, if I would have like been like scared and didn't take that risk or didn't push through on that and like called it quits or like sold it or didn't even buy it in the first place, I'm like, it's just, I can't even imagine that. So it's like, I mean, when you're in it and stuff is tough, or you're thinking, if you're on the edge or fence about taking that risk, or if I should do this or should I not, like I don't know, I'm always been one, like my wife will tell you, like I jump first and like ask questions later. Like I'm all in, and it's like if it doesn't work out, it's like it didn't work out, all right, so
I think that's the way to go. And I look at my dad and my grandpa, We're both getting older.
Yeah.
And I look and like, man, life comes at you fast.
Yeah.
And taking risks, like that adds a lot of flavor and fun and some stress to life. But it's like this life is short. You know, this past year actually, I was diagnosed with this thing, it's valley fever. It's like this like fungus that gets in your lungs, and 2022 was rough.
Wow.
I like got really sick. I like lost a bunch of weight. I was like so weak, and anyway, I was in the hospital and ER, like not good.
Wow. But
the perspective that gave me, that experience, I'm like, dang, why not YOLO? Like, you only live once, and it might be short. So like, take the risks, do the thing, you know. And so this 2022 was.
But I will say, like, take the risk into something that you really want to do. Like, don't take a risk on something where it's like we were talking about earlier, you think you can make a quick buck.
No.
Because like it's going to be fucking hard. There's going to be moments where you're like, fuck this shit, I want to flip over the Monopoly board and just like, peace, I'm done. And if you don't love the thing, it's going to be easy to do that and give up. And so like whatever risk it is that you want to take or something you think you want to pursue, you better love it and enjoy it. Because everything where I'm taking risks and doing stuff like that where it could be challenging or a risk is something that like I genuinely like and have a passion for. Like I'm not trying to like take a risk and open I don't even know like what would be a food truck. Like I'm not a cook, I'm not a passion for food. Like so it's like if that was like a risk I was going to take versus something like that, just eventually that there's going to be a moment where that food truck business or whatever would probably get challenging or hard. And it's like, it would be easy to be like, yo, I'm out of this. I don't want to deal with this. So whatever it is you're trying to pursue, make sure, you know, that is something you really, really do want to do and enjoy.
Yeah.
Because it'll just make it so much easier to try and become successful at it and have it be successful.
And I think it's, you know, for people out there watching, I think it's maybe easy to look at someone like me or Jakob and be like, oh yeah, like I can do that. I can start a thing. I can, you know, take that risk. And one thing, it's not all peaches and roses. It's like there's some really hard, stressful stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not for everybody.
No, for sure.
Know? And there's a lot of people. I have some amazing employees who allow FilmPAC to be what it is today.
Right.
And maybe they don't have that risk-taking gene or that visionary entrepreneurship gene or dream, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like that, it's not for everybody.
Right.
Like I want people to hear that too. Like you may not be that type of person, and that's okay. It's not good or bad. It's just a difference in our makeup.
Yeah, I agree. Cause like that's very much like my wife's that same. Like she will help everything that I'm doing, but like she would never go off on her own and try and that's just not how she operates. And yeah, that doesn't make it bad or good or whatever. You're not like if you're not a risk taker in that way, like some people just don't operate that way. And like I juggle a lot of things, and that's not for everyone. Some people just want to go to their job, do their stuff, like come back home, relax, not like, cause like essentially with what I do, it's like you're kind of on the clock 24/7. Yes, I have people in place to handle stuff, but it's also like, it's not like I go into work, do my work, clock out, and I kind of just boom, chill. Like there's always, especially with me, like I'm just always having ideas on top of just everything that needs to be done. So my brain is just always like beyond the daily tasks and what needs to happen tomorrow. I'm just thinking bigger picture and, I have this idea for this thing. Like, well, where can I start to squeeze in working that idea out for maybe next year? Like, so it's just a constant revolving hamster wheel in my head of ideas, thoughts, things, duties, like,
I'm feeling very understood right now.
Yeah, no, I've never felt more seen. I feel seen.
Talking about your wife, I know that she helps you with some of the, I guess the administration side.
Yeah.
One question I have for you is like, how do you stay organized with all this stuff going on?
I'm not an organized person at all. I'm very unorganized. I just fly kind of by the seam of my pants, and it's very much that way in a lot of the businesses, even with Tom. But a couple of the people that we do have like helping with each of the business like are organized and kind of handle the stuff that like needs to be done on a regular basis. But as far as like me and Tom's brain everywhere all at once, and we'll switch from this. Like, dude, I caught myself the other day. I'm like working on something on the computer, and I immediately started doing something else to go to the, and I'm like, I'm always all over the place. So although maybe from the outside it might seem like you have to be organized to do all these different things, or like what is his regimen like? Like, it's not, I have no schedule, no regimen. I'm just like, I'm all over the place. But that's how I like it. Like, I tried like downloading and using one of those like calendar apps, and you schedule your posts and your meetings, and I'm like, no, I just can't.
Yes.
My brain doesn't work that way. So just like not everyone's a risk taker or entrepreneur, like I'm not a scheduled, organized person. My brain doesn't, I can't compute with that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. You know, I brought on a business partner in FilmPac, like from the basically before we even pressed go.
Yeah.
And that was a great decision by me, because I'm very much the visionary,
Right.
ideation, all that, and he's like execute. He's a
Right.
veteran, Navy for 12 years, engineer, just like smart,
Right.
driven, organized. That's been a really nice pairing for me. But really what keeps me organized is, you can't see on camera, but there's some ladies in this room and there's some ladies up in Oregon that really keep me organized, because I'm the same way, dude.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I also, an idea hits, and it's like, when it hits, like I gotta
do it.
I gotta do it.
You gotta
Flush it out,
drop whatever. Yeah.
Google Doc, whatever, draw, go shoot. If it's something, I gotta
Right.
do it right then,
Right.
while the iron's hot.
Yeah. While it's bubbling inside.
Oh, totally.
No, I get that.
One thing I get asked is like tips and
Yeah.
tricks for like, how do you get work, and how do you keep getting work and stuff? So, I'm sure you have a laundry list of things, but if you were like talking to, let's say, like a young filmmaker,
Yeah.
what would you say? Hey, dude, this is what you probably should like focus on if you want to like keep getting good work.
Early on, it was just reaching out to as many people as I could and just being
aggressive.
Just being aggressive. I don't do that anymore. Now I'm at a position where it finds me. Like, I could probably get more work if I was aggressive, but I don't necessarily want to do that. I'm already super busy. So, and I would honestly rather focus on like my own businesses and endeavors than making stuff for someone else, if that makes sense.
Oh, it
so
totally does.
I'm not out there actively pursuing like clients and companies to like make videos for direct. Like, it's just like, if it comes to me, then I do it. Like, I just had someone come to me this during the Super Bowl that was here in Arizona, or not here, but back in Arizona this year. There was a big NFLPA thing, and someone on the project that was doing this NFLPA project like brought me on and had me hire a local team, and it was like a couple day project there for like the NFLPA, and like they found me. I was like, this is a cool project, run it, but I'm not out there banging down doors trying to pursue clients and projects. So, because it's just like, when I have time in between projects, I'm focusing on my own brands and companies, and then when I get hit up to do something that I want to do and I think it's a cool project, then I do that, and then back to my stuff,
Yeah.
So that's kind of just like my formula.
Yeah,
I'm just
totally
staying busy working on my thing, focusing on my thing, and then when the stuff finds me that I want to do, I do it. But early on, I mean, you have to, when you're starting out, like, and you don't have a name or reputation or clients, like, you have to go find them or get on set and network and meet people and bang on those doors and stuff. So
well, that's one story I shared in an earlier podcast, where I was just like literally cold calling potential prospects and just giving them the sales pitch. One thing it makes me think of too with the client and commercial work versus like building your own thing is that was a big motivation to me here. Like, whatever was that, 2016, I guess. So 7 years ago.
Yeah.
I was like, I like doing client work. I love my clients. I had good stuff going, but I was like, I want to build something for me, like something that I can like scale myself, and I'm not reliant on, this client approving this, proposal or storyboard or brief. Like, now in some ways I used to have like 10, 20 clients, and now I have like thousands, but they're customers, and it's you got to still serve them. So it's not like totally different, but it's a bit different in the mindset.
That makes sense.
One thing I tell freelancers, like, or young filmmakers and stuff, people who are trying to drum up business, is I'm like, man, just try to, above everything else, just try to communicate well with your prospects, with your clients, like fast responses.
Yeah.
One
of the things I got early on of like why I was able to like get a bunch of what I did early on was music videos, but like primarily, but I was able to just do so many, one, because I was fast and efficient, but I was so communicative with them. But like when I'd finish the video, I did my damnedest to like get them a good product immediately.
Yes.
And then they didn't want to go work with anyone else after they did work with someone else. They're like, they'd go do a video with someone else and be like, like, hey, need another product. Like I can't, after working with you and like just your response time to just everything, how quickly you got stuff done, they couldn't. And that's what allowed me to work with so many artists for so long and have like a bunch of just like rotating clients of people always hitting me up for music videos, because it's just like I can't work with anyone else but Jake. He's so efficient. Yeah.
What's funny is in my personal, I'm similar. In my personal life, I'm notorious, especially with like my family and friends, as like bad texter, bad caller, don't respond, don't email back, all this.
But with the clients, you're good.
When it comes to business, when it comes to like there's money on the line, I'm like, I'm gonna be on it.
Yeah.
And so that's always a funny like dichotomy.
Yeah.
But hopefully my family and friends can forgive me for not being the greatest at that. But when it comes to client work, I'm on it.
But I think that also comes from, because I'm kind of the same way, and I think that just comes from the similar mindset of being an entrepreneur, and like your mind is always racing and thinking of all these other things you have to. I don't know. You're just not. Sometimes I feel like, at least I am, and maybe you're different, but like my family group text, whatever it is, might hit me, and I'm just like, I have like 20 other things I need to take care of right now. I'm not, and so I don't respond to it. And so maybe that's where that bad texter comes into play. It's not that you don't want to respond. You're just like, yo, I got so much to do right now. So like, this is going to have to wait. And so at least for me, that's like what I think kind of happens with me. 'Cause I'm also a lot of people think I'm an asshole in like on social media, as well as just like friends, family. They'll be like, for the longest time, my wife's family thought I did not like them at all, because I'm like in person, like when I'm around people, I'm not a very social person. Like I'm just kind of quiet, reserved. I don't like to talk. I'm not a gabber. And then like same thing with text, like I'm very just short and to the point. I'm not gonna send a novel. Someone will say something, I'll be like, yeah. I literally just say yeah, and it'll be like people will think that I'm like an ass. Like I remember I used to handle the choir. I used to handle the DMs on Prism and Tropic, and someone would be like, hey, does this preset work on this in this software? And I would just be like, yes. And people would literally respond back, wow, thanks for the great customer service, like with a thumbs down, and like get mad. I'm like, dude, I just answered your question. like how am I being an asshole? But it's like people will read, like if you don't some emojis in there. Yeah, if you don't give them the extra sauce and flavor and be like, yeah, I don't even know. So I had to like pull myself away from that and bring someone on to do that, because I was like, I'm not trying to be mean or rude, but it was just being perceived that way.
You were talking about social media.
Yeah.
And you do a great job on social.
I try.
I'm curious, like, for the average, filmmaker or freelancer, or really any creative professional, like, what role do you think that should play in their, in their business?
It should be a forefront for sure. I mean, it depends on what you're trying to do, also. But like, why I haven't really been able, like, I handle all of the pretty much all the social content that gets posted across all the different stuff from Tropic, Prism, mine, BuffNerds, like the studios, etc. Because it's like I came up posting to like YouTube and Instagram, and getting views and the following I did on YouTube is what led to all of this. So my mindset goes like, you can't ever stop or give up on social stuff, because that's what got you to where you are. So if you just kind of let that fall to the wayside, or you have someone else do it who may not have your same intuitions or whatever, or understanding of the brand, or what might then what will happen? Will everything tail off? And so like, it's just always been like something that I've felt like I needed to like take on and stay on top of. And it can be challenging sometimes, especially when you're dealing with, it's not just like one account. It's like, I think like 8 different accounts. Yeah. So it's like, there's days where it's just like, I'm so overwhelmed. And there's some days where literally all I do is sit on my phone and just post social content across all the platforms, and also think, okay, what am I gonna what am I doing tomorrow? Like, and there might be days where it's just that. And then sometimes I'm like, what am I even doing? Like, I'm just like, but it's like, it's crucial because I see the results, like, and I see the direct benefit of social and like what it has done for all the businesses. And, you know, like if you were to even look at Prism, a company that, I mean, Tiffin and Schneider have been around for, I think like 75 years. And then here comes Prism that's 3 years old. And it's like, we have more of a following than they do. Yeah. And like, and have made us, and that's only because of social. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I just look at those things and it's like, it's so important to getting yourself out there, your work out there, your brand out there. I mean, I've gotten countless jobs from people who just follow me on social media. And like one of the biggest jobs I had kind of ever gotten was like a 6-month documentary that I DP'd. And the reason the guy hit me up, he had like followed me on Instagram for like 2 or 3 years. And he saw this like football show documentary I was working on. And I was posting all the stills. I was teasing stuff on stories. And he hit me up because he was just like, yo, like, I didn't know you did sports stuff too. I've been following you the last few years. And I think I have a project that's right for you. And it's like that job came because of this guy that followed me on social media. And it was a 6-month thing in Arizona that paid really well and was a cool project that came because of social media. So it's like, it's so important. But yeah, it's also like, if you don't enjoy it and don't like it, find someone that can help you with it. You know what I mean? So, because it like, it will come across inauthentic or not good if you do not enjoy it, you do not like it. Like it's almost like a what's it called? Like a slot machine for me. It's like kind of like a game. Like it's like, all right, what can I make that's like gonna like pop? Yeah. And then it's like, oh, that's kind of a good idea, and make it. And it's like you sit there like, oh, this one's going crazy. Like, yo, like, so it's almost kind of like a little game. And I kind of look at it that way as well. But yeah, it's super, super important personally, I think. So.
And one thing I've realized too with over the years with your stuff, and actually as I'm talking about this, I'm having another realization, but you, even beyond social, like you're just kind of everywhere. Like I think I was on Canva.
Yeah, my face is, I get sent stuff all the time.
Yeah. I think the thing I was thinking of is I did this video. It was like a slideshow years ago for a client. They just wanted some stills sliding in this like kind of short 1-minute video, web promo thing. And there was this dude, this good-looking dude with a beard.
Waterfall. It's the waterfall picture, wasn't it?
Sky. Yeah. And I was like, hold up. After I had made I was like, that's Jakob Owens.
Yeah. Was it the waterfall Hawaii picture? I'm in like a green shirt.
I know that picture.
Okay. A different one?
I think this one was a closer up.
Gotcha.
It was like just your face and that signature.
No, that's a good. So that's kind of a crazy and funny story too. Do you know what Unsplash is?
Yes.
So like, I think I found Unsplash in like 2018. I think they're pretty new. I think they launched in like 2016, 17, like somewhere around there. And I was just, I just found it because I wanted a place to share. Like I traveled a lot and I was always taking photos, but I was like, people don't follow me on Instagram for like a landscape shot of Hawaii. Like people follow me for my video stuff. And I didn't want to like spam my Instagram with like random like photos. And so I just like found a place where I could like share photos. And if people wanted to go look at them, they could. And so I just started putting my stuff on Unsplash. And then a lot of it was like also photos of me that I would just like put up there that like my brother took or a friend that's on a trip or whatever. And all of a sudden, like, my work on Unsplash, like I became like one of the top 5 most followed people on Unsplash, like one of the top 5 or 10 most downloaded people, and like my photos just started appearing everywhere, like whether it's a Facebook meme or like some like billboard in India. There's this crazy one this person sent me, some billboard in India, a billboard on top of this building. It's all in, obviously, is that Hindu? Is that their, I don't know what their language is, but like, and it's just me with my beard, like standing there. I'm like, dude, that's wild. And so,
it's crazy. I think like,
but that came because of Unsplash, like just putting my work out there, but it led to so many opportunities as well, which is crazy. And that's what people don't understand is like, sometimes if you just put your work out there and you put yourself out there and network and like, do stuff for free, like it'll come back in spades. And like some people are just so scared, like, oh, I'm not giving my stuff away for free. And it's like, I've built so many relationships through Unsplash. I've been paid through Unsplash. I almost got like, I've made good money just selling a photo that like I took 5 years ago and someone just like hey, we want to pay you $500 for this to use in our next, cool. Like, I almost got like a Google Super Bowl campaign commercial. They almost used one of my photos. Like, it didn't happen, but it's like, it just so much can happen from just putting stuff out into the world.
Yes.
And I think some people just hear the word free, like, I would never give my stuff away for free or do this for free. And it's like, that's how I built my career.
Yeah.
All the music videos I did early on, I did them for free. I didn't get paid. I was doing them because I wanted to do it. I wanted to build a reel so I could go get paying clients.
Yeah, and the money will follow.
And the money will follow. And so Unsplash was like a huge early on thing for me that just, one, it put my face everywhere. So everyone's like, dude, there's Jake again. There's Jake again. But it also led to some cool opportunities. And yeah. So.
Yeah, and everything I feel like you've said up to this point, it's like, it's under the umbrella of like, hey, guys, let's diversify.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You're very diverse. And I think that's a real like feather in your cap to be so diverse and diversify your efforts, platforms, businesses. That's, I mean,
right.
You kind of make it sound easy, but it's I know there's been a lot of hard work and a lot of just grinding,
right,
to get there.
Again, I think it goes back to, like I said, like I've always just liked having my hands in a bunch of different things, but I've, without like naming names, one of our family members was like a long time big, and I didn't know this till later on, like a big, not big director, but did big movies in Hollywood and did it for, I think 15, 20 years or maybe 15 years. And then one day the work just stopped. And so he's kind of been like, and he hasn't done a movie since. And so it's like, we're good family friends with them and I love them. And I always like kind of pick his brain and like, what do you think I should do? And also like my movie ideas, I'm always throwing them by him. And he was just like, don't stop what you're doing. Like, you have a good thing going. Don't shut it all down to pursue like making a feature film. Mm-hmm. But like he was the one that did just one thing, and it's like, and when it stopped, so it's like I don't know, I've just always just been like, I enjoy doing all the different things, but I just look at it as like, you got to put yourself out there in a myriad of ways, and something will come back, something will stick, and yeah. But again, you got to enjoy it too.
One question I have for you is like, there's no denying that you are like intensely creative, right? And I'm curious, like, where I think I know the answer to this, but like, where do you find your like inspiration and ideas? I have like my way that I kind of do it now, and I'm curious what you do.
I don't know. Like, I think it just hits me at times. Like, I know like
this is what I thought you were going to say.
Like, it just hits me when my wife has always told me that I'm really good at recognizing opportunity. And I think that like, I would just be living my life or on a job or working and be like, oh, this needs to be a thing, and recognize that. And like, it just hits me. And it's like, cool, let's do it. Like, that's what Prism was. PrismLensFX started because me and Tom were always taking a split diopter that was meant to like go in an actual matte box and do a shot. And we would pull it out and like dodge in front of the camera or dodge a wine glass. And so the whole idea for Prism was just like, wait, there's not a way to mount a prism, like, and there's not one that exists. Like, we need to make it. And so it's like, I think the creation and inspiration just comes from just living and working and recognizing opportunity. Yeah. You know what I mean? At least for me, that's what I would say. Because I do so much and I'm so inundated with all my own stuff. I'm not like, I can't tell you the last time I watched a music video. Like, so it's not like I'm sitting there like, oh, like I'm going to pull inspo from that for my next, like.
I think when you're early on in your career, it is good to look at.
Yeah.
I used to look at Vimeo. I used to look at like Vimeo staff
all the time
and be like, okay, oh, this is what they're doing here and stuff.
All the time.
I don't do that anymore. Yeah. Now it's just like my imagination.
Right.
Like now I feel like whether I'm nominated by the masses or not, like I feel like I'm a visionary for the industry. Yeah. And I'm imaginative. And I'm like, I'm going to think up these ideas on my own. Something that's never been done. I'm going to get that shot. I'm going to make it cool. And maybe that'll be the new inspiration for somebody else. Yeah. But I don't want to say like I've moved on from getting inspiration elsewhere. I still do that like sometimes. Right. But overall, like the inspiration starts here. Yeah. And so.
Yeah, I think, like I said, early on, I mean, I think anyone starting out is like sitting on YouTube, watching as much as they can to learn or be inspired. Like I can't tell you how many Mac Miller music videos I watched growing up, and that's what like really was like, oh, I can do this, because I saw his video. He had the same video guy, Rex Arrow, like shooting all his videos, just running around with a camera. I was like, oh, I could do that. And like, I can't tell you how many of those videos I watched. Mm-hmm. So like, yeah, early on that was an inspiration. I was always watching stuff like that, but now it's just like I'm yeah, kind of more just focused on everything that we're doing. And like, yeah, something will happen within a shoot or daily life or personal or like, and it's just like, oh, that we got to do that.
You know, Macklemore or some of his early videos. There's this dude in Seattle. I think his name is Zaya. I can't pronounce his last name.
He did Wings.
Yes.
Yeah. That video is crazy.
Yes. And for me, I started kind of following what he was doing early on. And that was like, to me, that just hit me so hard.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, this dude is like crushing it. And it's like underappreciated how like amazingly cinematic and creative.
His stuff was always super like, I feel like just like moody, widescreen, kind of anamorphic, low, like dim, like just like, I remember stuff. And I remember the Wings video. And he had a YouTube channel. It was, Zaya or something.
Sorry, Zaya, if you're watching this, you're probably not, but Marsha Bashi or something.
Yeah.
Right here.
No, I remember that. Absolutely.
We've talked a lot about like, you know, what it takes to be like a, you know, successful filmmaker, freelancer, creative professional. And I kind of asked this in a different way earlier, but like, what's like one really important skill you feel like, or maybe it's more of like a character trait that like a filmmaker needs to have to be successful?
I think one of the biggest things is, well, I guess it depends on what job you're doing within the filmmaking like kind of world. So I'm just going to speak from the perspective of being like a director and owning a production company. Mm-hmm. It would be personally being like networking and being very personable with like clients and stuff, which is something I've always like struggled with. And I think why I always kind of like have focused on my own thing, because it's like I don't like being that guy that has to schmooze and perform and do all that stuff. So, but like I can't tell you how many doors that's probably opened for other people that probably aren't even as talented as me, right? But they know the right people, they're connected, like they chop it up. Oh, well, listen, got this project, because it's all who you know. Like even on all of my projects, the people that work on my projects are people I know. They're my friends or a friend of a friend. Like it's not like I have a project come up and I'm just like hire some random dude off Instagram or whatever. So from a director kind of production company producer standpoint, it would be like schmoozing, networking, and just like connecting with the people that are going to bring you the work and those jobs and lead to other ones. So that's like such an important tool to be able to, the gift of like gab. Like I have a couple friends that like just end up in the wildest rooms with the like biggest people, and it's not like he's maybe anyone like crazy special. He's talented at what he does, but like he just has the gift of gab. Or there's like, I have another friend who's like he'll end up on shout out Ryan, he'll end up on like a PJ going to the NBA Finals Game 7 of this dude that owns some computer tech company that he literally met the night before at a bar, and like he's on his PJ going to Game 7 with him, and it's just like, bro, what? How are you there? And he can talk, you know, and that's like such a trait, such a useful trait. If that, it's something you can work on, but I also think it's just a God-given thing too that like some people just have. They can talk to people and they enjoy it, and I don't. Like, I mean, I like this stuff, but like I would never go on the, like my wife's dad will like in the grocery store, we'll be in line, and he'll just talk to the person like in front, like he's known them for 20 years. Oh, you got some steak and cooking in that? What you saucing that up with? And he just like starts, and I'm like, Big Mark, what are you doing? Like I could never, like, and he'll just go and have a 20-minute conversation with them, and I'm just like, so
I think my answer to that question would maybe be a bit different. If someone asked me like, hey, what's like one thing I need to do to be like a successful, you know, freelancer, I think I would take it more of the angle of like, dude, you got to have like that can do, like the yes man, like do it yourself type of attitude. And I think about what you're doing, like the diversity of it, building sets, the technical side of operating camera, the creative side of directing, all of that. There's a lot there. Yeah. But like, I think early on in my journey, I'm making videos for clients. I say yes, and I have no idea how to do something, but I would just say, yes, I can do that. Right. Like one thing that comes to mind was, or one instance was, a client was like, hey, we need a voiceover. We decided we want a voiceover for this thing, and we need it in 30 minutes. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, I'll make it happen. And I'm like, can I do a voiceover? And I like rigged up my old mic and this like audio H4n audio
Yeah.
device, and I'm like, I can do this. And I started doing voiceovers, and they're like, oh, voiceover sounds great, and they didn't even know it was me.
Right.
But it's just like this like willingness to like
Yeah.
jump into stuff that you're like maybe not super comfortable with.
Yeah, I think early on being diverse, again, like I just talked about, like I was able to like do so many projects and so quickly because it's like I could direct it, shoot it, edit it, color it, deliver it, like, and I know there's some people that like don't know how to edit that might direct, or like I have a friend who like directs videos, but like, and he was a musician first, but he doesn't know how to edit or do anything post, so he has to always like try and go find someone and line it up with their schedule to, and it's like that takes time, that eats up time. So yeah, I think if early on like you can kind of be a jack of all trades and know how to like just like do this project, get it done, move on to the next, and like do everything without having to like outsource to like friends or people or hire, like I think you can take off a lot faster.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
And I will say too, for clarification, like nowadays I've kind of refined where my actual strengths are.
Right.
I'm like, okay, I know I'm good at directing, I'm good at cinematography, I'm good at like ideas.
Right.
And that's probably about it.
Right,
Not good at much else. But like, and the other stuff that I used to do and I used to think I was good at, like I'm like that's delegated now to people that do it even better than I did. So as you progress, I think you can kind of like start delegating. But in the beginning, that was a way that I built my business, was just saying, yes, I will take your project, client X.
Yeah.
I'll take your project from concept and scripting to delivering and upload. Like I'll do it all.
Yeah.
And that helps me early on to get a lot of clients.
Same, likewise.
So, we've talked a lot about all your businesses and a lot of successes. I'm curious, like, just because it's good, it's always a good learning experience. Like, is there one big failure maybe that comes to mind that hopefully was a good learning experience, but maybe sometime you like really failed at something?
There's been a couple times that I think like I could name that's like, oh, that kind of failed, but it wasn't necessarily because of me. It was just the one thing I learned is like, I operate on such a different level, and I think so does Tom, that me and him just, if we have an idea, like we need to do it together. Cause we've tried, there's been like 2 different kind of like business ventures, things that I've done outside of him that I've like gone into with other people, and they've failed and fallen short, and like I'm not involved with them anymore, and I lost my investment or money or whatever. And so yeah, I mean there's been a couple things, nothing like major, but like I mean there was something like I invested in a friend of mine who was a filmmaker that wanted to start this thing, get me involved, and I invested like $25,000 into it, and it just went away. Like, so it's like, I mean that's probably really big to a lot of people, but like that was like I don't know, it was like a big L. Like most of what I do and set out to do like succeeds and works, and for the most part. And so I've had like a couple little things like that, but it's always been outside of like my idea. It's always been like, I think like someone that comes to me with an idea and they're like, what do you think? And I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like, yeah, I could see that. Let's also do that. And like I get involved, and then it just kind of fizzles out and doesn't really work.
An idea can be great, but it's pretty worthless without like great execution.
Right. No,
There's a lot of
100%.
good ideas out there.
No, I mean, even with the same thing with like all of our companies and businesses, they're good ideas, but if you don't have the right execution behind it, or the work ethic and the drive and the things that you're doing, like it's not going to work. And so, yeah, I literally told that to after the last kind of time that happened. This is last year, one of those things where I said I was like overextending, where I was trying to like invest in this thing and do this other like startup on top of all the, like on top of the one take studio, on top of like my wife's, all this stuff, right? And yeah, Tom was involved, and we have such a good rapport on how we work, and he handles so much, and like just like there was just like such a break and a disconnect between me and what I wanted to do and how I operate, and how the other guy like was doing stuff, and it didn't work out. So yeah.
When I think in my past, like I haven't had like a huge macro fail yet.
Right.
I'm sure that's coming, but at some point. But a lot of little fails. One that comes to mind is this one time. It was my biggest project at the time. This was early in my freelancing journey. It was like a $10,000 commercial. And I under-delivered. I don't know. The client wasn't happy, but I still charged them
the
full amount, budget.
Yeah.
And she's like, we're not paying that. You didn't, do
Right.
what we asked you to do. And
Do you feel like you
that-
did? Or do you feel like you were like,
I feel like I feel like I did.
Okay.
I feel like I delivered a $10,000 project, but they didn't feel that way.
Right.
And so that was the fail, was just that disconnect,
Right.
a miscommunication. But here it came out with a win, because I told her, hey, yeah, you don't need to pay me. It's all right. Don't pay me, but you have to give me another shot on another project to do something else. And she's like, all right, that's fair. I'll give you here's this next one.
That's cool.
And you know what happened after that? For the next 2 years, hundreds of thousands of dollars of projects from this one client.
Wow.
And the fail was, hey, I missed the mark.
Right.
Learning lesson. The win was I earned it back and realized, like, man, some of those clients, especially those repeat clients, you got to keep them happy.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot of things. Oh, I got to communicate throughout the process. If I'm missing something's unclear, let's make sure we're on the same page. Expectations. There's a lot of little lessons learned, but the big one was like, hey man, keep going. Don't let a client go. In the current kind of economy of, creative, the creative industry, filmmaking, how do you see like freelancing and creative work evolving right now?
Man, it's super interesting with what's happening with AI right now, and just how like people coming up in kind of this era, like it's tough for me to say, and like I don't even really fully understand AI, but I know some of the like capabilities already. But like when I was coming up, like none of that existed, and now like I know there's probably certain jobs like that are kind of being overtaken by AI, and so it kind of depends on what type of freelance job you're doing. But like, yeah, there's probably a good number of industries that are in a little bit of like trouble and hot water in terms of like now your job can kind of be done by a computer, especially if you like it's only going to get better, and it's like kind of seemingly almost like came out of nowhere, and it's good right now. Wait 5 years, and I mean
1 year.
Yeah, wait a year. Like, but imagine, me and Tom just talked about this. We're and an artist that I work a lot with, Kyle. I was shooting some videos for him out here like last week in LA, and he was talking about even from music standpoint as an artist, like he's like, what's gonna happen, like because right now there's a song that kind of went viral online, and it's this one random artist online featuring Jay-Z, and it's not Jay-Z, but it sounds
it's the AI,
it's the AI
replica or whatever.
Yeah, he fed it the lyrics, but it sounds identical to Jay-Z. Wild. And you would not know the difference. He's like, what's gonna happen when these labels realize they don't need artists, or like, they can generate their own artists, and or artists like Drake, like they just train this model. They write and produce all these songs through an AI Drake. They show them to Drake and be like, hey, here's 25 songs. Pick your next album out of these. And he's just like, oh, this one. And now he's like there's going to be such a weird shift within the music industry of like artists not actually even having to like, if you're super poppin', you're not going to have to work if you don't want to. Like, you can literally tell your label, like, yo, like, produce those songs for me. You have my voice. You have my lyric. Like, you know how I, like, and they'll generate it, and people will think it's a Drake song and album. And, like, and then, so that's probably good for those big artists, but it's not good for, like, the little artists, and it's just, I don't know, it's so interesting. So he was like saying like, bro, I gotta, get on the shit right now and get hella popping and do this again and do this. And cause he's like, in 5 years, like, who knows, like AI, like I won't even, if as soon as the general public starts like, here's an AI song and doesn't know it's an AI song, like, yo, this is a bop. And a record label sees that and understands that, he's like, it's game over. Cause they're just gonna pump out hundreds of songs and they'll know what's a hit and what's not, and like, and then they're just gonna see which one's boom, boom, boom. Not have to pay a producer, not have to pay an artist, not have to pay like, and just like, they don't have to work late into the night and pay for studio time. Like, they can just pump out these things. So that was like an interesting conversation in that lane, because I didn't think of that perspective from his perspective. But yeah, within just like digital art, graphic design, photography, like Tom showed me the other day this photo that was a completely digital AI image of a film photo, a portrait of a girl, and it looked so real. The texture, the halation and the highlights, the skin texture of the person. It's like, if you looked real close, you're like, oh, this is like a computer image. This isn't, like, you can tell it's not a real person. But like, if you were just scrolling, like, you'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a dope photo.
Yeah.
Like, and you just had a computer do it in seconds, and you could say like, oh my, like you could sell that art. You could say that's your new work. You're like, and it's only going to get better and more realistic. And so, I don't know. It's super interesting to be like a freelancer, like coming up right now. Like, what do you focus on?
Yeah.
Like, if your passion is graphic design or like certain things that coding, like even just beyond like development for websites and coding and stuff, like that's going to be able to be done by a computer. You just give it I want something to look like this.
Right. Let's give it a prompt.
And give it a prompt and have it replicate it. So
for me, it's like I'm not necessarily scared yet that it's like going to come take my job. I'm trying to think about, and us, within FilmPAC, the organization, we're thinking about how can we use like Chat GPT to like, maybe streamline or make us a little more efficient. And one thing, actually, I was
going to say, have you used it yet or anything?
Yeah. Last podcast, I didn't have any time to prep for it.
You just asked, give me questions for a podcast.
I basically said, give me 20 questions that would be good for a podcast talking to a fellow filmmaker about, and I gave it a few more prompts, about the industry, about tough point, whatever. And it spit out
questions.
20 great questions. And I honestly didn't change it. I just went through it and we talked about it and it was a great conversation.
Yeah. Could you imagine sitting there trying to think of all those questions and writing them down? Like that would have ate up so much more of your time and bandwidth.
A couple hours.
Like,
and it
easy.
took 2 minutes to do this.
I actually, my very first time working with Chat GPT was last night. I was like, you know what? I should probably, like, I've heard so much about it and I have never tried it or opened it. And like, I was like, we have a new product we're working on over at Tropic. And so I was just like, I typed in like a prompt, like, give me an ad hook for this and I listed the product and and it just spit me out. I said, give me 10 different, and it gave me 10 different ones. And I was like, damn, these are pretty good. Like, I was like, I'm going to use a couple of these. So it's crazy.
I feel like Chat GPT and some of the AI stuff, it gets you from like, if you look at like, 0 to 100%, it gets you from like the 10% to the 90% very fast. Like you still have to prompt it. That's the first 10%. And then that final 10%, you have to like refine it a little bit. That sentence was weird, or that topic is not relevant.
Right.
But yeah, I've used it to write. I haven't published these yet, so don't worry. But like, I used it to write a string of blogs. One was like, tell me about the 4 best cinema lenses, and why, and give a quote about each one, like a testimonial about each one, and it just starts going. And it's like you're talking to this robot who just knows everything. It's
so crazy.
It's wild. It's kind of scary. It's also super fun. I feel like, for someone like you and me, it's like there's a battle. There's like the creative side that's like, no, that needs to be like
something
human, and then there's the entrepreneur side that's kind of like, there's an opportunity here.
Yeah.
Like, let's make sure we're kind of capitalizing.
No, I feel that. Yeah, there's been a big, I think that's why I've hesitated for so long, even like diving into it, even though I've been seeing so much stuff about it. 'Cause it's like, I don't know if I'm ready to or I don't know if I was ready to like give up that tactileness of it yet. Like where like coming up with the content, like, just having it spit some out for me. But even just like, seeing how much easier it made, just my evening trying to come up with those couple like taglines or hooks, like rather than having to sit and be like, all right, what's a good hook? Like I could just like, what's this? And then it just spit out. I was like, oh, that's good. And it's like, boom, cool, done, work done. Like that definitely just saved me a bunch of time. It's like, damn, I got me thinking. I was like, we really need to like start maybe thinking about this some more.
I've heard people.
I was like, I feel like a boomer right now.
Yes.
Just like,
if we don't,
adapt.
If we don't adapt and adopt this technology, we're gonna fall behind. So I'd rather be at the forefront of it than complaining about it.
I feel like it might be a little bit of like that digital film to digital era where you had a lot of, it was just all film for so long. And then so many of the old head established DPs that didn't know it was, I only know film, I only shoot film, and then everything starts becoming digital and they don't want to adopt it, and digital will never be film, and then all of a sudden it's like they're out of touch and they don't know how to use digital, and they don't know, like, and so I feel like it's kind of a little bit like that, where it's like the film to digital switch is happening right now with AI in terms of like creative business, from actually creating it yourself to having a computer do it. You know what I mean? The tactileness of creating is film, and then the computer generating it is the digital. That's like the switch right now. It's like kind of similar.
Tell me a little bit about just off camera here for a second, we were talking about babies.
Yeah. Babies.
Twins.
I got twins.
You got twins. I'm actually a twin myself.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm an identical twin. You got fraternal twin. Yeah, boy, girl.
Boy, girl.
Yep.
Boy and a girl.
Tell me about how like fatherhood has affected you as a filmmaker.
I don't know how much it's affected me as a filmmaker, but as just like in general, as like I guess a business person, entrepreneur, like daily life, I feel like I feel more patient, which is funny because even though like twins are chaos and it's loud and you can get frustrated, but like I don't know, I think I don't want to say they saved me, but like I definitely like it has helped me slow down and not be so like just work driven and focused. And like I used to work crazy hours. Now like I literally like I used to have to wake up and get straight to my computer and do like start getting to my tasks and doing stuff, and now I'm like, nah, it's fine if like I'm gonna hang out with the babies for an hour this morning, we're gonna burp them, play with them, feed them, like then I'll chill and then I'll get to my like I don't know, it's helped me slow down and I feel like a little more patient personally. So because I feel like I've always in the past been not uptight, but just a little more like I just have all these things I need to do and ideas and focus and boom, like, and where now I'm like, like it's chill, it's cool. So yeah, I would say that's the biggest change. I just feel like it's slowed me down a little bit, and I've just kind of become a little more patient and appreciative of kind of everything personally.
Congrats, man. I mean, I love to hear that.
Thank you.
I think for me, becoming a father was like a new level of joy and love and purpose in life that I'd never experienced before. And it was super fun. And also, my wife, she got pregnant. I was working 2 jobs at the time. I was working my desk job, cubicle, suit and tie. I was also making videos on the weekends.
Yeah.
And when she was 7 months pregnant, I was like, I can't do this once a baby comes. I can't be working 8. I can't do 2 40-hour work weeks in 1 week. And so that was a motivation. Also, like, I wanted to be able to tell my son later on, like, hey, your dad, me, like I followed my dreams. I had to work hard. I blazed my own trail. And so it was a motivation on so many levels. Yeah. And my life has never been the same. And so I got a son and then a daughter as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think for me, and I don't know if this is the same for you, but I always knew, so growing up, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and my dad owned his own business. He just worked out of the house. He had Owens Insurance Services. He did just insurance, but he worked out of the house. But he was present for every game, every practice. He was the coach of our basketball team. Like, he was just always there. And so
we have a similar upbringing.
So I don't know if that was just like kind of like instilled in me, and I saw that. But I always had a strong work ethic, but I also always knew like, I don't want to be like 30, 40, 50, whatever, having a kid and I'm like not there for stuff. Cause like my dad was always around. And so it's like, I think that was kind of like sitting under the surface a little bit of like, cause I grinded from, high school to college to when I moved to LA, and and I think I always knew like, I want to get to a point like by the time I'm 30 where I could like, if I wanted to, I could just kind of kick back and still do what I'm doing, but not have to like chase, a check to make sure we're good. And like, if I want to go off with him and go fishing up north for the day or whatever, like I could just do that stuff. So I think that was always a big motivation for me. Cause like I've always loved kids. Like you ask any of my family members, I'm the uncle that plays with all the kids. Like I'm out there. Yeah. I'm the funkle playing in the street with the kids, football, getting beat up, tackled, like jumped on, like no one else is in there but me. It's just me and all of the like 12 grandkids. And so I've always, been, just like, obviously wanting my own kids, but been someone that's like kind of family oriented in that way. So I think that was a motivation for me too. It's like, I enjoyed working hard and trying to like build something, but I also knew that like I kind of wanted to get to a point to where if I wanted to, I could like let my foot off the gas, and it, I had my own stuff going on and it was built up where I was like, it's fine, it's cool. So yeah. And
Love that, dude.
Yeah.
I think we just became best friends, actually.
We just go do karate in the garage.
Seriously, no, but same. Like I'm known in my neighborhood and with all my nieces and nephews. Like I'm the dude that's gonna be tackling and playing, being the monster and, you know, throwing football in the middle of the street, whatever. Like that's kind of been my MO. So that's fun to hear.
Chanel, she, it's funny because she, like, I love hanging out with the babies, but it's definitely like she's much more of like a baby person than maybe like I am. But I know like once they're like little kids running around outside playing in the yard and in the mud and whatever, I'm gonna be out there with them and she's not. Like, so it's like, like we both know like your strong suit's here and then mine's gonna be like here. So, but no, I'm excited.
Tell me a little bit about, you know, along those same lines. Like, tell me about how, you know, sounds like you've always kind of been a family man, but now you're like, you know, man of the house, dad guy. Yeah. Tell me how that's maybe or maybe not impacted your like risk taking. Because I know it kind of changed a little bit for me.
For
I'm
sure.
curious what you think about that.
I'm a lot more I would say I'm a lot more reserved right now, because it's like there is now a family to take care of. And it's like if you take a big risk and it puts you in a stressful situation, whether personally or financially, like, you know, that's affects your family now. Yeah. And so I have noticed over the last few months, like where normally I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that or like take that risk. Like right now we've been looking for a house in LA here because I'm just here all the time. And like when I'm here, it's like I was talking about this earlier, it's hard to like be in and out of like either an Airbnb or a hotel or a friend's house or whatever. And so it's like we're like looking for a spot, and like every spot like my realtor finds or Chanel finds, I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like whereas normally I'm like, oh yeah, let's go see it. Like let's, you know what, I'm just like
taking it slow.
Yeah, like I don't know, you know what I mean? So whereas like I feel like normally like if you were to tell me this a year or two ago, I'd be like, oh yeah, let's run it up. But now I'm like, oh yeah, I mean it's cool. Like I'm not, you know, biting at the bit to like just like, oh yeah, let's buy that
take
house.
the
like,
next big huge financial risk. And I would say, you know, to the younger dudes or the non-parents, non-dads, non-moms out there, like that can be used as an opportunity too. It's like, hey, if you don't have those kind of financial obligations, and I mean it's a privilege to be able to provide for my family, but it's also a burden.
Yeah.
It's both at the same time.
Yeah.
Like you can take some risk. You know, when I was 25, I would have been fine. Oh, I got to move into a 200 square foot apartment. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
I can live on $500 a month. Like that's fine. Well, I need quite a bit more than that now. Get food on the table and groceries and get the organic food from my wife and whatever, you know? So like, you know, it's just the stakes are higher with a wife and 2 kids in tow.
No.
And I feel that way. And like I said, it's a blessing to be able to do that. It's also a burden.
No, I agree. I feel seen.
Nice. You know, one thing in our industry that I feel like is not maybe talked about a lot, and maybe you don't have this, and good for you if you don't, but I get this like pre-shoot stress, pre-shoot anxiety, like almost every time. And I'm like 15.
Everyone does.
All right.
Everyone does.
That's good to hear because sometimes I even like Googled it. I wrote a blog about it and I'm like, no good resources.
Yeah.
Of like, how do I deal with
I don't think people wanna or like to talk about it because they want to feel like, I don't know. Cause like,
confident?
you don't like maybe perception. Cause it's like, this is what you're supposed to do and it's supposed to be good at. So if you express that you're anxious or nervous, like that's not a good thing, like to the client or to whoever, you know what I mean? So I don't think a lot of people like to talk about that, but like I think it's the same thing with like you look at athletes that throw up before games or they talk about, oh, I was so nervous before this game and I threw up and I was sick or this or that. Like it's just that kind of performance anxiety. And I personally attribute it to, you know, your capabilities and you know what's on the line and you know how you want to perform and you care. And so you get nervous. I think the moment you don't get nervous, that's when it's like, you shouldn't be doing
that's more of a concern.
Yeah. Personally. Cause like there's not a shoot that I go into, whether it's a small budget or a big budget, that I'm not like nervous. And I think that's because I care and I want to make sure I deliver and that the client is happy with what they get.
You know what's interesting what you said right there, and that I have not really thought about or haven't said it like this before. I always call it pre-shoot anxiety. You said performance anxiety, and that's actually that's right.
Right.
It's because I know I'm going to have to perform, meaning I'm going to have to read the room. I'm going to have to take, okay, what's the talent doing? What are the other people on set doing? What's the space like, light, all these things. I know like you can be super planned out and still have all these like creative decisions that need to be made in the moment. And that causes some anxiety.
Yeah.
That causes some performance anxiety. And it's honestly, it's the same way I used to feel before, track and football games.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I gotta perform, man.
Yeah.
Like it's that same feeling where I'm kind of just like feel it in my chest. I'm kind of like tired and like low key. They even some of my producers, they know like a little bit quiet, and I'm like really focused.
But if you're to like think about that feeling and trace it back, like it's because you care, right? You want to do good. You
want
care
to succeed.
about
I want to win.
You care about you care about the result. I think if you don't care, then you're like, nah, fucking, I'm gonna go do this thing. Like you wouldn't have that anxiety. And so I think it stems from a place of like that you really care about what you're doing, and that's where that kind of performance anxiety comes from. It's like, all right, I need to nail this thing. Like so I don't know, just what I think about that.
Yeah.
Because you're not alone in that. I'm sure many other people experience that as well, but don't really talk about it. But yeah, I experience the same thing. And I know I'm talented and I know I'm good at what I do, but it's like, it's still going into every shoot. It's like, okay, here we go. Like, you know what I mean? So.
Jakob, you're like, I don't know, early 30s or something. What would you tell 25-year-old Jakob? Like you get 1 minute with him. Back to the Future, time machine. What do you tell him?
Just saying yes to more things. I think saying yes to more things. Like I feel like I'm very much like, and have been my whole life, a little more reserved, and I pick and choose, and I'm not the biggest social person, and so like something might come across my way, I'm like, I don't really want to do that. Nah. And it's like it's kind of like that movie Jim Carrey, Yes Man. I think it's Jim Carrey, Yes Man or whatever, and it's like for like a month.
Liar. Or
no, I think it's literally Yes Man, and he's
yes
like,
man. Okay,
yes
judges
man.
say yes.
Judges say yes man, like where he literally like he takes this oath or this deal where he has to say yes for like 30 days to anything that someone asks him, and like his life just like significantly like improves because he's like, and so I think it would just be saying yes to more stuff, and more opportunities and things when they come across, and not just be like, nah, I don't want to do that. Just be like, nope, yes, I'm going to do that. Like, shoot, even like this, it's like, I said yes, and it's like, it's been awesome, and who knows what comes of this, you know what I mean? And,
yeah, totally.
But had I been like, nah, like, then nothing happened, you know what I mean? So I think just saying yes to just more stuff early on. Yeah,
and being willing to like put yourself in uncomfortable situations. I feel like they're always such good learning experiences. And I know you got a lot of stuff going on, and I follow what you're doing with Tropic Colour and PrismLensFX. I'm a customer. Tell me if like maybe give us all a sneak peek of some cool things that are coming down the pike.
So I think the thing I'm most excited about right now, and I think we're excited about with like Tom and our team over at Tropic Colour, is we're working on a new. Well, actually, we have our initial prototype of our first SSD drive.
That's different.
Yeah, we found a company local in Arizona that is a up and coming tech company. They are just in that kind of like computer tech space, and we worked with them on building an SSD because that Tropic Colour, we have like post assets, digital stuff, but we even load the stuff up on like Samsung T7s and ship them out like in these these physical bundles we do, and like it just all came together, and it's like, let's build a drive and we can put our own stuff on it and ship it out in these bundles rather than another company's, but also like do something a little bit different. So it's like, it's really cool. It's literally the fastest portable drive you will find out there. We already checked everything. Like,
give me 10 of them.
So there's 20. It's up to 29 megabits a second, or 2900. Sorry, not 29. Jeez, 2900 megabits a second. And the closest thing to that is, which to give context, a Samsung T7, which is like, do you know what a Samsung T7 is? Yeah. Most people like kind of use that, travel on the go or whatever, is 1050. So
you're almost tripling it.
Yeah, it's very, very fast.
It's like a true like video editor's hard drive.
Yeah, but even beyond that, like DIT, gaming, music, like photo, video, editing, data storage, whatever. But what's cool about it too is not only is it extremely fast, the fastest one out there currently is not even like as fast as this one. So it's like, it's 2 terabyte storage. It's extremely fast, technically the fastest drive out there. And they're also like stackable, like Legos. So you can like stack them into each other and like kind of build like a little mini tower, or just travel with them and stack them together, where like other drives, they just kind of like just spread and lay everywhere. But it just kind of goes hand in hand with what we've done with Tropic from day one. It's like we've built these digital assets. We're editors ourselves. We're filmmakers ourselves. We edit off drives. We use drives. We travel with drives. We put our products on drives to ship to other people. Why not make our own? And so that's like been a huge thing for us. And we have, dude, I wish I brought it. I literally thought, I was like, I should bring it so I could show you, but I didn't bring it.
I would love to see it.
And it's in back home in Arizona, like our first one. I'm going to NAB this weekend.
We'll throw in some B-roll. We'll have some B-roll of it, and we'll show it, because I want to be an investor in this too, if you're taking them.
We might. Shoot. We're going to NAB, or I'm going to NAB. I'm speaking at the Lexar Memory.
Yeah. Yep.
They have a booth, and I'm doing like 3 speeches over the course of like 3 days there, and I'm going to bring it with me and do like kind of a man on the street, like first reaction to people, that, because I'm sure I'll run into a bunch of people I know, or fans, or people at certain booth. Like I know some people at Aperture, and I'm sure I'll go say hi to them, and I want to like show it to them and like get their first reaction, but also do like a man on the street, maybe ask a few people like, hey, like what drive do you currently use to like edit or data storage or transfer on set? See what they say, like, oh, I use this drive, and it's like, oh, that's cool. Well, like, what's the speed of that drive? And then be like, what if I told you I had something in my pocket that was 4 times as fast? And they're like, what do you mean? And then like show them and get a first reaction, kind of like a viral man on the street, TikTok reel kind of promo. So that's like an idea that I just came up with, and I'm like, dude, I need to do that. Dude. So I'm going to take it with me and just I'm show a bunch of people and stuff. So, I got
a slogan for you. It's like, what drives your business? Something like that.
That's good. We're actually, well, I'll spill the tea here. This is where I'll spill the tea. So we're everything we do with it, we're going to call it the TC Space Shuttle. And cause we're
Tropic Colour Space Shuttle.
Tropic Colour Space Shuttle, the TC Space Shuttle. Cause like with obviously space storage, but everything when you're traveling in space, it's, light years and fast and whatnot. We're calling it the TC Space Shuttle, and every model, this was our first model. Eventually we'll probably do a smaller one, a bigger one, or this or that. Like we want to name them also after like certain rockets, like so maybe the Apollo, the TC Space Shuttle, and this is the Apollo version, or the
love it.
We're gonna not do the Challenger because the Challenger blew up, so we're not gonna do the Challenger, but like stuff like that. And so we're just like excited. That's like where it's like, okay, this is like potentially the future of Tropic Colour. It's like, yes, we make all these cool assets, but it's like now we're almost getting into the tech and product space with Tropic, and that's like cool. That's like that's
exciting,
huge long-term play for us, and something we're excited about. So that's like right now something that I think Tom and I, within kind of everything we do, are like, dude, that's like, we just can't stop calling each other like, yo, what about this idea? What about this? So we're gonna do like some product shots at the end of this month, and we're launching the waitlist link tomorrow on our website to like get notified when it goes live, and it'll have also on the page like all the specs and everything. So we're just very excited about that.
Hey, and guess what? We just finished off an astronaut shoot. We spent like a few days like doing all this like space stuff. So if you need some good B-roll,
that'd be good.
FilmPac, we got you, dude.
FilmPac,
got you.
Tropic Colour collab all day.
I love, I think like most filmmakers, we love the space stuff. It's like interstellar. I mean, everything. We love it all. So I think you're onto something there.
Yeah,
that's super fun.
Yeah,
along the same lines of like, I'm thinking of like what you're doing, and then like stock footage, like what I do, and talking about this astronaut stuff. One thing, there's a similarity between us and our businesses, though we have different businesses. We have to anticipate what other creatives might want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they're not necessarily telling us. We have to like get out in front of it and be like, maybe this.
Right.
And I'm curious if you had like any thoughts on that. It's fun and exciting in a sense. It also can be like kind of stressful, because you're having to think really, way ahead, be a visionary. And I wonder if you have any thoughts on that, of what that's like to like have to anticipate what customers might want down the road.
I don't know if I ever look at it from that perspective, other than like kind of like what we were talking about earlier. If like inspiration strikes me and I'm like, oh, this needs to be a thing. I can see this being a thing. Like people would want and need this. Like maybe it doesn't exist right now, or they don't even know they need it, but once it's made and put out there, they're gonna be like, oh dude, like why hasn't this been a thing before? So yeah, I think I don't know if I like really sit there and plan to like think in that way. Like this drive thing kind of just happened in that way too. Like all of a sudden it's like we're putting all of our assets on, to these drives that we're just buying off Amazon, like buying lots of 10 of these Samsung T7s and storing them in a garage and putting these drive assets on the drive and shipping out. And then it just like hit us. There's just like, dude, like we should somehow make our own drive, but it should also be like faster and more durable. And what's like another feature we can add to it? It's like, let's make them stackable. Yeah. So it's like, I would use that. Yes. Like I would want that.
You got it right there. And here's what I would say. And I don't want to speak for you too much, but all of my I have a lot of ideas, but all my good ideas, generally, it's when they're an answer or a solution to a personal pain point.
Yeah, exactly.
I asked the question, like I'm looking at what customers want, but really,
you're kind of your own customer though, because you're in the industry. So if there's something that you would use or want, and you can identify and acknowledge like, I would want and need this and I would use it, then that's literally how I've looked at everything. Like from the studios, it's like, would I want to shoot here? Yes. Cool. This is going to be a studio. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, if you're a filmmaker yourself and you can answer that question, then it's a good idea and other people would want to use it. That's literally how I justified buying the Eclectic West, even though it's a hour and a half, hour 45 outside of LA. When I showed up on the property, I was like, this is so dope. And I was like, but it's so far. And I'm like, but would I want to shoot here?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. And so I was like, I know if I would want to shoot here, other people will
There's
too.
more people like you.
So that's kind of like how I try and look at most decisions and things. It's like, would I want to use this, or would I use this, and would I need this? And if the answer is yes, then it's like, cool, that's probably a good idea. Yeah. And let's run with it.
Yeah. I love that. And even, on a macro level, like when I think about like my business, FilmPac, like, okay, yes, that's how it started, was like, I need FilmPac. I need themed, groupings of clips that look really good and that are kind of, cohesive and all that. But also on a micro level, like at going to a shoot, I'm like, okay, what shots? Okay, I'm at this like kind of shoot. What shots would I want to use?
Right.
And that drives
what you make and what you create and what you do. 100%.
And sometimes there's like there's a butting heads with like kind of what does the data say and what do the customers say? And I need to respect and listen to that. But also I've learned that like over the years, I've learned my intuition generally, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to sound like arrogant, but like I trust my intuition a lot more than I did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
If I had to ask you, myself that question of what would I tell Caleb 10 years ago, or 25-year-old Caleb, I would say, trust your intuition, dude.
Yeah.
Like if you think something is cool, if you want this product or digital product or service or whatever, go make it. Cause there's, more likely than not, there is hundreds, thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people that also have that same problem, that same pain point that they're looking for a solution to.
Case in point. Yeah. If you yourself would use it or want it, go make it happen.
Yeah. And that kind of leads me to another question for you. And this is more on like maybe more on the more project side, but like balancing that like outside input. So like maybe a client or customer input, balancing that with your creative intuition and inspiration, and like how do you maybe balance those two things? Because sometimes they kind of collide.
The only time where I feel like it hasn't been that way is I did this one, I directed this one kind of like commercial project for Converse, and it was like very corporate and a lot of people with their opinions, and this is how it needs to be, and I felt like a puppet, and it just like
how did it turn out?
It didn't go well, and it never got released. The end product was cool, but it never ended up getting released. I guess at the time too, there was like a transition within Converse where someone who was ahead of that project left and a new person came in, and they're like, yeah, we're scrapping this. I had nothing to do with this. We're doing something different. So I think it was a myriad of that, or that was part of it. But yeah, I found myself not enjoying that. And so I've always been like, yo, if you want to work with me, like we're kind of doing it my way. Like I'll listen to like what you want, like, and I'm not just gonna be like, yo, like F all your ideas, but I really only take a project if I really like it and want to do it. It's not like I'm doing it because like I want to make a bag or whatever. And so, yeah, it's like, hey, like I have a good idea for this. Just listen to me. And I feel like I have really good ideas. Like I don't think I'd be
I know
where
you do.
I don't feel like I'd be where I'm at if I didn't have good ideas. So it's like, yo, just listen to me. Like this is gonna be good. Like, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that answers the question.
No, it does, dude. That's
yeah.
awesome. And you know, I think we better wrap here. We've been going for a long time, but you know, yeah. Thank you so much for coming on and being willing to, you know, chat with me and, you know, give a lot of hopefully, you know, insight and inspiration to people. I feel like if I could wrap up everything you said today, I would say 3 things. One is trust your intuition.
Yeah.
Another one is keep going, keep pushing.
Yeah.
And the third one I would say is diversify. So, you know, if you're a creative, you know, a freelancer, creative professional, or probably really anybody, any worker ever, is do those 3 things. And, you know, good things can happen. You know, if you trust your intuition, you know, you work hard. So yeah, man, I have so much respect for you. It was so fun getting to like chat through all these things. And yeah, man, we'll, you know, I know we got some more stuff planned for later today, but, you know, it was good chatting with you. And we'll, guys, we'll see y'all next time. Make sure you follow Jakob Owens, Tropic Colour, PrismLensFX, TheBuffNerds, all the things, the things. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.
All right, guys, peace. Thank you.
Uncommon Creative, the FilmPAC podcast.